During a grilling on air, Labour's policing minister was left squirming after being forced to admit that the latest figures for small boat arrivals across the Channel are really disappointing, despite trying to convince the public that her government has a watertight plan to fix the chaos. Speaking to GB News, Dame Diana Johnson declared, "We know what the problem is, and it's this government that's now introducing a range of measures to try and tackle the gangs." But then came the fireworks when host Ellie Costello hit her with a shocking, straight-to-the-jugular question. The minister floundered. What followed was a torrent of lies, spin, and shameless evasion, as if she hadn't even heard the question, instead clinging to the same worn-out talking points Labour MPs use to wriggle out of giving a straight answer. Watch the clip. Before starting, subscribe to the channel, like and write your opinion in the comment.
Christopher Hope, first of all, who wants to deal with a member of the opposition who's up to some shenanigans today. Christopher.
Dame Diana, I don't want to surprise you and jump in on Eamon and Ellie's questioning, but I want to know what you think about Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, spending 48 hours in northern France speaking to people who want to come to this country by small boat. Is that helping or hindering your attempts to smash the gangs?
Well, I was the chair of the Home Affairs Select Committee in the previous Parliament, and we went as a committee to do a research project, really, to find out what was going on in northern France. So I don't have any problem people doing that. I think we know what the problem is, and it's this government who's actually now introducing a range of measures to try and tackle the gangs. The previous government were in power for 6 years, and they allowed these gangs to get really entrenched and their networks really embedded. It's going to take us a bit of time, and obviously the figures are really disappointing at the moment, but we do have a plan. We have a range of measures to try and tackle the smugglers, to go after their money, to deal with the French, to work with the French in a positive way, to return people. You'll know that agreement was reached just a few weeks ago. And we're also getting the French to look at what they do on the beaches, because when I was over in northern France, it was quite clear the French would not get involved if individuals were in small boats. As soon as they were in shallow water in a boat, the police would not get involved. They're now looking to change that tactic, which again will be really helpful. So a whole range of measures. We're the ones actually delivering on that. Previous government had one scheme, Rwanda, 4 people went voluntarily, 700 million was spent. And they saw, I think it was about 88 or 84,000 people came while that Rwanda scheme was actually in place. So it's this government that's actually going to deliver on this.
The scheme was a deterrent, and you are suggesting that this one in, one out deal is going to be a deterrent. Well, clearly, so far, that is not the case. Since it became operational, 2,000 people have crossed the channel. These human trafficking gangs are still bringing people across the channel. Our Home Security editor this morning was telling us that he could already see a boat in the water. This isn't working as a deterrent. Is this really the best you've got?
Well, that's one measure. That is not the complete number of things we are doing to tackle the small boats, unlike the previous government who had one policy, which was Rwanda, which failed. There was no evidence that that worked as a deterrent. What we're saying is there's no one silver bullet for this. You have to go after the gangs, you have to get a better relationship with the French, you have to get the French police to act differently on the beaches, you have to make sure that, you know, the advertisements that are going out on TikTok and other social media forums, they're dealt with, they're taken down, and that people who do that are going to be held to be committing a crime. There's a whole range of things here we're doing, including the border command that was set up, the counter-terrorism powers that we're bringing forward in the Borders Bill going through Parliament to tackle the gangs, a whole range of issues to try and deal with the embedded nature of these criminal gangs.
Stay tuned for more. Explosive scenes erupted on GB News as Justice Minister Alex Davies-Jones lashed out at Conservative claims that the government's Chagos Islands deal would bleed taxpayers of £35 billion, slamming the figure as an outright lie. She doubled down on the official £3.4 billion cost, insisting the Prime Minister had been fully transparent. But when confronted with a bombshell question, her mask slipped, stammering, swerving, and spinning in circles, as if even she couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth, brazenly lying in a shameless attempt to bury the truth. Watch the clip.
Ask you about the Chagos Islands deal, because there's been a lot of debate, hasn't there, and dispute about the figure of this deal and how much it actually costs. And in public, Sir Keir Starmer has put it at £3.4 billion. But there's a Freedom of Information request, and it's the front page of the Daily Telegraph today, that puts the true cost at 10 times that, at £35 billion. Has the government intentionally misled or lied to the British public?
No, and I want to be very clear with your viewers today that we do not recognise that figure at all. The Prime Minister has been forthright in saying that the true cost of this is that £3.4 billion figure. It is less than 0.2% of the defence budget, which is less than the cost of an aircraft carrier. And all of that in order to keep national security safe. The United States are on board with this agreement to make sure that we can maintain that military base on Diego Garcia for national security, and we think that is what's needed in order to protect our British citizens.
Right, Alex, I just want you to be clear on that, because we have had the Shadow Chancellor, for instance, all this morning talking about this and quoting about this, and these figures have come as a result of a Freedom of Information Act request. So are you sure what you're telling us is correct?
I'm very sure, Eamon. The government does not recognise this figure. The stated figure that the Prime Minister has said is £3.4 billion over the course of the lifetime of this deal. It's around £100 million a year in order to maintain that military base on Diego Garcia, in order to maintain national security, and that is the true cost of this scheme.
The Telegraph today says this is an official document produced by the government's own actuary department, and it puts the figure at £34.7 billion.
And I've told you, we do not recognise that figure. The true cost of this scheme over the lifetime of the deal is £3.4 billion.
Is this a good deal for Britain? I mean, lots of our viewers asking this morning, well, the cost would be zero if we weren't actually handing something back to then lease it back for however much it costs.
For the cost of 0.2% of the defence budget of the United Kingdom, less than the cost of an aircraft carrier, we are maintaining that strategic military base in Diego Garcia, safeguarding the future security of the United Kingdom and ensuring that our allies, such as the United States, have access to that. We think that is the right course of action and the right deal to make.